1.5 tracks that had the actual progressive banking. Man, this place started out as 1.5 miles, and it was flatter than flat. And here we are with a high banked 1.5 mile track that puts on great racing. Multiple grooves around the track. You can go all the way up to the outside wall. You can go all the way down to the apron and be just as fast. We saw that last night over in the HomeNet Hosting Truck Series, as there was 3-4 lanes of racing throughout the entire race, and quite an exciting finish there for the HomeNet Hosting Truck Series.
Absolutely, and with the simulator adding that sort of wall of air around the safer barrier, it kind of gives these drivers a little bit more of an option to run that high side. Makes it a little bit more forgiving, although still difficult, and really opens it up for that multi-groove racing you were talking about. And with a big field tonight, I just think there's going to be some fantastic racing. And I tell you what, these Cup cars here, I think this is one of the tracks that benefits this sort of package that we've had for the last few years with the big old spoilers and the high downforce. You can get some drafting and a lot of off throttle time in the middle. It's going to be great.
Yep. Speaking of that field of cars that we have 40 of them ready to take to the track for Midwest Simulation Spotlight's pole qualifying here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. And several of those drivers, in addition to the 40, did go home, including the 7 of Adam Blau, the 04 Mark Myers, the 13 of Gary Reynolds, the 86 of Todd Kirkwood, and the number 9 of Adam.
So some drivers sent packing, unfortunately, but tight competition. I'm obviously new to broadcasting this league, but I did do a little bit of research when Carlos invited me on, and I tell you what, man, from what I saw, it is going to be an absolute competition with very close lap times, and I can't say I'm surprised to see some drivers sent packing. Just a close field around.
Qualifying so far here, we have Jordan Harnish on that provisional Midwest Simulation Spotlight pole with a 31.291 second lap. Now, Doug Mullins bumps him 31.245. That might be the commentator's curse here tonight. As soon as we talk about somebody on the provisional pole, they get bumped. See how long Mullins lasts up there.
It was a matter of just a few hundredths of a second. That's what it seems to have come down to. And then about a tenth back to third place there, Corey Silva, with a qualifying time so far of 31.344. Behind him is fourth place Anthony Pelican with 31.386. So, man, you have to go back really far in this field before you see any significant difference in lap time. This is incredibly close. Right now, on the bubble of the top 10 is going to be Grant Bramble, 31.445. He just got bumped out by Cody. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name. I do apologize. The number 19 car, Michael Krobel, knocked him out, though, there. He's now down to 12th. The field rapidly changing as they're setting their faster lap times on lap 2.
Yes, now Greg Evans turning his lap. He'll be jumping up there on your scoring chart here momentarily. I think our timing and scoring has a little bit of lag here in Midwest Simulations pole qualifying. There he is, 6th quickest for Greg Evans. That's your Daytona winner and defending Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series champion, Greg Evans. And we'll see how he does tonight as the first true test of these drivers in 2021 right here at the Homestead Miami Speedway.
And we do have a new pole sitter for the moment. Tyler Seville ran a 31.174. So quite a blazing lap time there. He's the first driver to dip into the 31.1 range. Doug Mullins behind him in P2 with a 31.245. So so close, but yet so far right now for that pole time.
And pretty nice weather here in Miami. It's partly cloudy, 76 degrees Fahrenheit. The track 96 degrees Fahrenheit. And the wind south at 3 miles per hour currently. So pretty mild day here for Homestead Miami, but it is February. We're in Florida, and we all know how the weather swings go in Florida. As anybody that watched Sunday's NASCAR Daytona 500 enjoyed a lovely 5-hour break in the middle of the race.
I mean, they got to give you time to take a nap. But yeah, this cooler weather, it's definitely going to produce some interesting racing. I think when the track gets cooler, cooler in regards to Florida. I mean, this is still warm, but when the track gets cooler, you get a little bit more grip in the car. You get a little bit more faith in it. Maybe you get in a little bit deeper, get on the throttle a little bit sooner coming out of the corner, and just make a little bit bolder moves when you have that sort of lower track temp. And not much wind, so I don't think we're going to see that come into play too much, although 1.5 miles, usually you don't see it affect the cars that much anyway. That's usually reserved for plate tracks, things like that. But Yeah, very, very moderate weather, like you said there.
Well, if it's anything like what it is outside my window right now, this is a whole lot better than my view, with a foot of snow and near zero temperatures. So we will take this mild Florida weather, and be very happy to see it. Tyler Seville is still hanging on up there at the top of the speed chart. Greg Evans dropped down to the seventh position in the number two.
And I think it's going to be a tough time to beat. Like I said, the only driver thus far to dip down into the 31-1 range. Not sure what he did different. I wasn't quite looking at his car, but must have found something with that line. Definitely need to get that into lap time. But behind him, man, the competition is still really close. This qualifying comes to an end. Warm up begins. These drivers are going to line up out of pit road, get some laps under their belt, and get ready for this competition in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is a brand new thing for this series with the warm up. They're going to get a 5-minute warm up. Basically, this is for drivers to just get a feel of where their pit stalls are. Just get out there real quick in a group, see how everything goes, make sure every change that they made between qualifying and the race sits well, and just get ready for the race.
I think the warm-ups are definitely a great idea. And you mentioned to get a feel for where their pit stalls are. That is definitely something that I think is one of the challenges that stock car racing inherently proposes. When you have your pit stall line up, and you have to really focus in on that, because in this league, there is a rule, just like real life NASCAR. I heard during the drivers meeting, they can drive through a maximum of 3 pit stalls prior to their own, and they can drive through 3 pit stalls on exit. So they do have to be rather precise, and depending on where you qualify, that does dictate where your stall is going to be. So, getting some practice under your belt for a flying pit stop coming out of turn 4, getting the car woed up, and of course identifying your pit stall is going to be massively helpful for these guys. I know, for myself personally, green flag pitting was always a bit of a trouble spot for me. So definitely going to help these drivers out. And already seeing some battling in this warm-up session. We got the 12 car battling the number 8. Of course, that's going to be Jimmy McGee in the number 8, battling with the 12 of Jason Van Volkenberg. 12 car going way up high in practice there. He's running that high line, and it didn't quite work in the middle, but now he's getting that run out, and he's closing in on that 8 by about 1 car length by the time they get halfway down the front stretch. Now into 1. He's going to be right at his bumper. And I think we're going to see that all night long, Jim. We're going to see drivers sacrifice a little bit of time going into the corner to run that high line, but then they're going to get that huge slingshot run coming out. And that's going to really open the door for some crazy overtakes as the night goes on.
I'll tell you, we saw it last night in the HomeNet hosting truck series. Drivers were actually barreling down into turns 1 and turns 3, letting up just a little in the middle of the corner, and then right back into the throttle. So you're going to see probably 3 or 4 different grooves of racing just about out of the field here, but you're also going to see different styles. There's the attack style of attacking the beginning of the corner or attacking the second half of the corner, and you're going to see both of those, I think, tonight out of these drivers. The problem is when the guy in front decides that he doesn't want to attack the entry, and the guy trailing decides that he does want to attack the entry. That's when you run into problems. You also have a very loose off of turn 2 and turn 4 feeling that these drivers are starting to get a feel for as they are slip sliding around.
And when it comes to Homestead, I think that's something you're always going to face with that shift in banking. It's very abrupt. You come out of that progressive banking in the corners down to pretty much no banking on the straightaways, and the weight is going to shift in those cars and kind of throw it all types of sideways. So got to be prepared for that. And even with these big spoilers and relatively high downforce, that's still a bit of a challenge. And these cars can still step out very easily. So it's going to be something they got to really pay attention to and be on the ball all night long with. So one of the reasons I love this track, it is one of the more challenging 1.5s, and that's what makes it so great.
Yeah, it reminds me of the old Atlanta configuration. Actually, right about the same configuration as Atlanta, just the progressive banking being a little different. That kind of holds everything together, and that just creates the multiple grooves that we're going to see, hopefully, developed throughout the race.
Absolutely. And another thing to think about is the rubber getting laid down. We got 134 laps of racing in this event, and by the time we get about halfway through, I think the track is going to feel completely different for a lot of these guys as the rubber gets laid down on the track. Certain lanes get a little bit more grip because of that, and other lanes maybe lose grip. Marbles get kicked up, and it's just going to be a dynamic thing these drivers got to figure out all night.
Yep. Not only will the weather change, then the track conditions change, but also the level of grip on the racetrack will change. And also, you got to remember, this track loves to eat tires. It's like an alligator for tires. It just chews them up, and these guys are going to have their hands full at the end of a full tire run for sure.
Absolutely. Everybody talks about Atlanta eating tires, and they kind of put that at the top of their list of abrasive tracks. But I feel like Homestead's kind of underrated in that regard. I think it's a very close second to Atlanta in how it eats your tires. I know a lot of these drivers in practice were probably making their setups, getting their cars tuned in, and coming into the pits and taking a look at their tire wear and thinking, man, was it really that worn? Because it happens fast. And obviously, the more worn your tires get, the worse that car is going to handle. So definitely a challenge. But warm up is over. The driver's going to grid up, and we're about ready to go racing here, Jim.
Yes, we are. So we're going to see which of the three manufacturers is going to be the best in race conditions. The Chevys obviously dominating the Midwest Simulations Spotlights and pole qualifying with the Will Worsler teammates on the front row. And speaking of those Will Worsler Racing teammates, Tyler Seville will start on the Midwest Simulations pole alongside of Doug Mullins in car number 18. In row number 2, we have Steve Yenich in the Tampa SUVRentals.com. Thought that said Sun Rentals. Toyota, and Jordan Harnish in the Beef Jerski's Cheesecake Emporium Ford Mustang. Row number 3 brings us Will Worsler, the owner of Will Worsler Racing, and Corey Silva in the number 94 Chevrolet. Row number 4, Greg Evans and Jason Stewart. That's your defending series champion, Greg Evans and Jason Stewart in car number 1. And row number 5, Adam Jerski in the 69 and Anthony Pelican in the number 78.
And behind that number 78, we're going to see Jamie Moore in the 82 machine with Troy Hart behind him. Danny Gutierrez is going to be rounding out in 14th, followed by Michael Krobach. Cody Spike, I really apologize, I cannot pronounce Spiker. Cody Spiker, thank you, Carlos, in that 19 machine. It's going to be 16th. Behind him, you've got Grant Brown, AJ Digby, Nick Curling, Woody Mahan, Jackson Van Volkenberg, Jeff Yenish. Behind him, you've got John Broussard. Again, I'm new to this league, so I do apologize for mispronouncing any names. Kevin Klein behind him. Larry Orn behind him. Pete Baskins, 26th. 27th, Michael Whitting. Kevin Stone behind him. Jimmy McKee in 28th, or 29th. 30th, John Eckert. Jared Haggerty, 31st. Clarence Bonner, 31. Michael.
Well, Andre, we are about to go green, and the green flag is in the air, and we are rolling at the Homestead Miami Speedway. We will touch back with those drivers that started at the rear of the field here as the race goes on. We'll make sure that we check in on those drivers. Here we go, off into turn 1, and it looks like Tyler Seville is in full command of the field.
Absolutely. He got a great jump on that start on the inside lane, got about 3 car lengths out ahead of second place Doug Mullins, but Doug Mullins closed that gap right back up on the back straight, and now at 27 car Jordan Harnish, he's right behind him. Looking to the inside of the 18, gets a little bit squirrely there. I think you're going to see quite a bit of that tonight. These cars are evil coming out of these corners, but he's able to gather it up, and he's still got about a 3-car breakaway now. The 27 is really the rear end of that lead pack, and then back about 4 car lengths, you got the number 23, Steve Yenish.
You know, one of the things that we'll be talking about throughout the race is the air bubble around the cars. When you're single file, it's magnified more than when there's double file ahead of you. But if you're single file and you're catching somebody and you get to about 0.2 of a second behind them, there's a bubble of air, a wall of air that hits the car. The car becomes super tight, and it just is really hard to get the car to turn through the corners and just hard to make up the ground. So you really got to time your runs. I think we saw Mullins try to make a run and just was unsuccessful at completing the pass.
And that's a fantastic point. These cars will handle completely different when you are in the toe of a car ahead. The air is just going to completely change the handling, usually for the worse. And when you're single file behind multiple cars, of course, like you said, that amplifies it tenfold. So it's something these drivers are going to have to pay attention to. The 27 car was able to make a pretty good move on the inside of that 18. The move started coming out of turn 2. He was able to get down to the bottom and cleared him by the time they got to turn 3. Now, making their way down the backstretch, the 27 has his sights set on the leader. That is going to be Tyler Seville, your pole sitter, still pulling away from the field. He's got about a 7-car length lead over that 27, so he's pulled away a little bit over these first few laps here. And I got to wonder, maybe he's using up that equipment pretty quick here, or maybe he's got a setup that's able to run that fast and not burn it up. But a lot of different strategies. I think some of these drivers are going to be focused on conservation. I know you talked a lot about the tire wear there, Jim, and how bad it is at this track, and that is definitely a factor. So I think you're going to see some drivers go for it and kind of go full send and not really worry about conservation, and then you're going to see some drivers maybe lay up a little bit, but mostly single file for the top 5.
One of the things about the tire wear here, the lower you are on the track, it seems that the tires take less abuse. So the higher that you run and the higher speeds and the more momentum that you carry through the corner, you use up more tire and you abuse the tires more. So you might see guys all the way firmly planted at the bottom, but I think you're going to see guys just about a groove and a half up off the bottom, and that's probably going to be the hot ticket for the ones that are trying to save a little bit for the end of the run.
Absolutely, and that could be all the difference. Just saving that little bit of tire, just a few percent of wear is going to be able to really help you out there. A little bit further back in the field, I'm looking at Corey Silva, P6 in that 94 machine. He has closed in on the number 2 of Greg Evans, and he is on the hunt trying to make the overtake. You can see him peaking just about a half a car width down to the bottom. Then on corner entry, seems like the number 2 is just driving it in a little bit deeper. Of course, you got Corey Silva making that time back up on corner exit. He closes back in, so a battle for that top 5 spot happening right now.
Oh, we got a little trouble off of 2. The 45 got sideways. That's John Eckhart. Everybody's going to keep it going in the right direction. No, we can't say that word here. We don't want to bring that out on this race, so we're going to just say that we stayed green.
Don't want to activate the commentator's curse, but that was an impressive save by everybody involved. That definitely could have been a lot worse than it was, and they were able to gather that up, luckily. And looking further up in the field, I'll tell you what, set number 11 has some crazy pace. Last time around, Tyler Seville ran a 32.019. Behind him, Jordan Harnish ran a 32.1. So 1/10 of a second faster for the leader as we transition there. And a little bit of separation happening right now in this top 3, Jim, and then behind him, that seems to be where the battles are happening.
Absolutely. You're going to see the guys that are farther back are going to get more aggressive as the race goes on. We might be, 8 laps into this race, but I'm telling you, it's go time for these guys. There is no waiting around. It's 134 laps. It's 200 miles. But we're nearing 10 laps in the books. And these guys want to move up as fast as they can, mostly because if one of those lovely cautions were to come out, they want to have the track position for the pit stops so that they can be ahead of their competition on the exit of the pit stop, the exit of pit road, without having to do a whole lot of work. See, it makes it a little easier for these guys when they pit. If you're the farthest up front, you have a little less work to do than the guy that's behind trying to catch you and can have a little bit slower stop and not lose too much.
Track position is definitely key. You are absolutely right. And you said, we're 10 laps in, but it's go time, and you're right. I mean, 134 laps goes by quicker than you think. I mean, we're already on lap 11. In these laps, you're going to continue to wind down. I don't know about you, and I don't want to activate the commentator's curse, but looking at these cars and looking at these drivers, I'm just not expecting too many cautions, especially early on. So I think this race is going to continue to wind down, and that means these drivers are going to have to keep that aggression level high. They're going to have to stay with the pack, stay within drafting distance of the cars ahead, so that they have that opportunity to make some overtakes, get that track position, should a yellow flag fly. Of course, right now on your screen, you're looking at a little bit of a side-by-side battling, and of course, man, that outside lane, just not quite getting the run he was hoping for in that 82 machine. The door was closed pretty abruptly, but he's still going at it. You can see he runs about 2 lanes higher up, and that's enough to get a few extra mile an hour down the straightaway and close that gap back up. He's just going to have to keep trying, see if the opportunity for an overtake presents itself. But right now, we got a bit of a train going on right here. Some cars have caught up to the lead pack, it seems like. Kind of spearheaded by Steve Yenish in that 23 machine. Greg Evans behind him, Corey Silva And then Will Worsler behind them. He's slowly closing in. He ran a 32.673 last time around, 32.7 for the car ahead, Corey Silva. So slowly but surely, Will Worsler catching up with his lead pack.
Yeah, and he's going to get a really good run down the straightaway. The problem is for him is that when you get into the corner, you're going to hit the turbulence. You want to be behind a car on the straightaway to have the straightaway speed. But when you get to the corner, it's like when you're in an airplane crossing the country, you go over the Rocky Mountains, you hit that really rough turbulence. That's what it's like 4 or 5 cars back in the pack. The thing is just all over the track, and you just can't get anywhere. So you'll almost see the guys fan out when they go in the corners, whether they go up high or down low, to not be right in the wake of the car in front of them. And so that's why you're seeing these huge runs by guys like Will Worsler, who's at the back of the line, making his way into the middle of the line and actually catching to the tail of the line in front. So pretty crazy how it all plays out here. These 1.5 miles, man, it's a whole different animal. There is no such thing as a cookie cutter racetrack when it comes to iRacing.
I absolutely agree. I never really was too fond of that term, cookie cutter, because we've seen a lot of good races, both in the simulator and in real life from these 1.5 tracks. And this race is definitely shaping up to be one of them. I'm noticing Greg Evans in that number 2 car. He's getting a little bit more aggressive, Jim. He got to the inside of the 23, looked like he had a move going, and then he kind of had to back out of it. He didn't quite get clear. So the defending champion, Greg Evans, on the hunt, as it looks like maybe the 18 is used 2 up a little bit. Doug Mullins going into the corner there, you can see the 23 got right up against his bumper, kind of had to check up that bottleneck, the 2 car back there. I think if these guys could get around the 18, they may have something for that 27 that's ahead of them in P2.
That's another thing that comes into play at home Miami that doesn't get talked about a whole lot. But a guy getting right on the left rear quarter panel of the car in front actually loosens up the car in front. And we've talked about the looseness out of the turns 2 and turn 4 areas. You can magnify it to where the guy almost spins out coming out of the corner and you never even touched him.
A little bit of side drafting. You talked about getting up on that left rear quarter panel. That is exactly what the 94 did. Corey Silva got right up against the 2. Looked like he was almost going to be able to make that overtake. Unfortunately, he didn't quite get clear of him. He was able to side draft him, slow him down a little bit, but it wasn't quite enough, as it looks like that 2 car really getting tight on exit. You could see that rear end kick out a little bit, and it slid up towards the wall. He was able to kind of correct it and keep it in line. But that 94, I think he's getting pretty anxious to get around that dude. It's kind of a scary thing, Jim, when you're coming out of the corner and you see the car ahead of you just kind of sliding up towards that wall, and you're not sure if they're going to be able to gather it up, because if something goes wrong with them, something might go wrong with you.
Well, you know, this track has 18 to 20 degree banking in each corner, and it flattens to 3 degrees, and it doesn't flatten at a very slow rate. It flattens abruptly. People talk about how flat Texas gets out of turn 2. I would put Homestead right up there with the flattening rate on the exit of the corner going to the straightaway, right up there with Texas. Probably Auto Club too. That track kind of has a nice amount of banking and then gets pretty flat whenever you hit the straightaway.
And it definitely does make that car feel all kinds of weird coming out of the corner. But right now we got the 23 and the number 2. They're going to make the move on Doug Mullins. The 23 is clear. He got around him. Got about a 2-car length gap to him. The 2-car, he's not getting off so easy. He got up next to him in the corner. And then, of course, coming out, the 18 got the run from the high side. The 2 was kind of courteous there. I think he could have come up and side drafted him a little bit, but he gave him space. He played it very clean and clear, stayed about a lane down, and now coming through 1 and 2. He's going to try it again. The 18 gets into the wall a little bit, and you'd think that would be the saving grace for the number 2, but he is only going to stay door to door, so he's not quite clear yet as they sail it into turns 3 and 4. There it is. There's the slide job. The 2 is going to come up in front of the 18. He's pretty much clear of him. Now the 18 still not home free. He's under fire from the 94 car.
With this lower horsepower, high downforce package that we have at the 1.5 miles, momentum is everything. We talked about tire wear earlier in regards to momentum, but momentum is everything. And that car on the outside can hold its own, but it can only hold its own for so long. Eventually, the faster car, whether it's on the inside or the outside, will prevail. And here at Homestead, almost every time it'll be the car on the inside. That's usually the car that's handling a little bit better and getting through the corners better because they're able to dive down to the inside. You almost see the same thing like you do when we go to the dirt track like Eldora. where they can slide down and do the slide job and slide back up into line. You also see that at a track like Kansas. So some really unique things to Homestead here.
Right, and the progressive banking sort of helps in that, because you can send it into the corner and then slide back up in front of somebody, and you can kind of rely on that progressive banking to catch you and keep you from hitting the wall. A little bit of room for error there, that progressive banking. And I would say the bottom lane as a whole just gives you more room for error. You can send it in deeper, and if you overdrive just a little bit, maybe you drove it in too deep, that banking's going to catch you. You're pretty much going to be fine. But if you mess up running the high line, you don't got very far to go before that safer barrier is right there in your face, and you got to be really careful. As I noticed, 18 got loose again coming out of turn 2. Didn't really lose much momentum. They were riding on board there with Harnish. He is giving you a good example of what this banking is like with this roll cage cam. I always love that gyro cam that shows you just how much these cars are moving. And Joss Landing is a huge bobble for the 18, completely sideways coming out of turn 4. That's going to allow the 94 to get door to door going into turn 1.
We were riding along there with the Beef Jerski's Cheesecake Emporium Ford of Jordan Harnish. And, well, Andre, what's your favorite cheesecake flavor?
I got to be honest, I'm not big on cheesecake. I don't really have one.
Well, I'll take care of it. We'll just order 2 white chocolate raspberry cheesecakes, and I'll eat them both.
Sounds good to me.
I might not make it to the next race, but we'll be all set there.
So you can see on the replay there, the 18 just got massively loose coming out of the corner, and that was the opportunity that Corey Silva wanted to claim, and he was able to get around him. So he's going to move up into P5, and now he's hunting down Greg Evans in that number 2 machine. And whoa, a little bit of a bobble there, it looked like, for the car ahead of the number 2. He was able to gather that up. I think we're getting to the point now, Jim, where these tires are really starting to go, and these drivers are having to adapt to the change in handling.
So you're at lap 25 right now here, and this is the turning point in the tires. So they can probably get about 50 laps out of a set of tires, but there's a useful life on those set of tires, and it's about 35 laps before they really start to fall off. So we're going to see the next 10 laps are going to be crucial. You're going to see who's saving and who's not. One driver that we do want to shine a little bit of a spotlight on back there, Jason Stewart, running around in 40th. Actually was delayed getting to the start of the race, but did get off pit road shortly thereafter the green flag dropped. So I want to say hi to Jason back there, and hope he can get caught up here and have a great race in his number 1 Toyota. But at the front, it is all Tyler Seville in that number 11. He is just pulling away now by over 2 seconds over Jordan Harnish.
You got to admire that tenacity by the number 1 car. I mean, when a situation like that happens, you get into the session late, something delays you, something happens, maybe the power goes out. You kind of know your race might be over before it ever even started, but that did not stop him from jumping into that car. Jason Stewart got in that car, he got off pit road, and now he's riding around waiting for some cautions to maybe be his saving grace. And maybe if anything were to happen, obviously don't want to activate the commentator's curse, but if anything happened to any of the competitors' cars and they were forced to park it or they DNF, that's just extra points he's going to claim by actually starting the race and persevering through it all. So, like I said, got to admire that tenacity. But you mentioned it is all Tyler Seville right now, and yeah, you cannot deny his lap times are still better than anybody behind him. I mean, I'm struggling to find anybody matching his lap times, even if it's just by a few thousandths. He seems to be outpacing everybody. And looks like we're having some connection issues with Grant Brown. Maybe a little bit of blinking there, Jim.
Yeah, that's looks like that might take the 00 out of the competition there. He is falling back with that blinking issue. Maybe coming back now. He's up in Minnesota. It's been really cold up there and really snowy, so might be a little weather-related issue there with the internet connection. Looks like the 53 of John Bouchard going by in his Toyota Camry.
It's going to be a good move. Almost. He tried to slot up into position on that high lane, but thought better of it. I think that gap closed up a little bit quicker than he was thinking. Again, he's going to sail it in on the bottom lane with a bit of a tow from the 00 car in front of him there. Looks like he is going to be able to maybe get a move as somebody is dropping down to the low lane there. That is, can't quite make out what car that is. Yenish, that's Yenish. He got maybe a little bit loose coming out of the corner, was able to correct it. And, man, close call.
Yeah, I think tonight is going to be about close calls. We have seen guys sliding around. We've seen guys in the wall, and now we've seen a connection issue. So it's one of those kind of races here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. We're about halfway through the fuel run now. And as the fuel burns off, the car gets tighter. And that means that you put more wear on the right front tire and wear it out even sooner. And also, you're going to see more close encounters of the safer barrier style out there on the track.
Absolutely, and that's one of those intricacies that I think a lot of viewers at home don't really realize about stock car racing, and even in the sim, the more fuel you burn off, the lighter that car gets, and the lighter it gets, the more the handling changes. So it does kind of affect the handling, makes it a little bit tighter, and then, like you said, you're putting more pressure on that right front, heating it up more and more as you go through the corner. And the hotter it gets, the quicker it's going to wear. So it's a bit of a domino effect as their runs go on. And being lap 32, I got to imagine these drivers are really dealing with a bit of a handful at this point because, 33 laps on these tires, the weather being what it is, that's got to be getting tight. But on your screen right now, you were looking at Danny Gutierrez making a move on what appeared to be the 29, Will Worsler. Looks like Gutierrez has kind of been working his way up the field slowly but surely. He was a little bit further back, now worked his way all the way up into P8, so firmly in the top 10. And he's seeing a nice sight ahead of him, Jim. He's got two cars side by side battling it out. And of course, the more they battle, the more they're going to slow themselves down, which is just going to allow him to close the gap up more and more, and maybe get a little bit more track position before these green flag pit stops commence.
Yeah, Danny picked up the win last night in the HomeNet hosting Truck Series right here at Homestead, Miami. So he's having a good week and really good here at this track. One driver that I'd like to take a look at here at the field, Brian Yasek in the 55. They are on baby watch this week. His wife and him expecting. The due date was yesterday, so any moment now we could get that call that baby Yasek will be born.
Congratulations to him and his spouse. That's pretty cool. If we see him dive into pit road, I guess we'll know why. But on track right now, looks like Danny Gutierrez closing the gap even more to the 18. And this race isn't quite going how I expected it from the number 18. We got a replay here, the TWRP replay. You're gonna see. Wow, yeah, he just made an abrupt turn down pit road. I'm not sure if that was. I guess it was a planned stop, but quite an abrupt turn there.
Yeah, that's like the kind of left turn that you make just after the Tri-Oval at Daytona when you go into the road course.
Yeah, he made it into pit road, and I don't believe he sped, so impressive nonetheless. But as I was saying, the 18 car, this race has not been going the way I thought it would. He started up front. He seemed to have a fast car, but he's just kind of slowly been falling through the pack, and I got to wonder if maybe he's using his tires up a little bit quicker than the rest of these guys, or maybe falling back is a strategy call for him. Maybe he's intentionally saving his stuff, although I don't know how much that would help this late into the run, but he's been falling back a little bit, still firmly in 7th, which is not bad by any means, still in the top 10. But it seems like in the long run, his car is kind of fading, which tells me if this race were to come down to a green-white checkered or a short run to the finish, that 18 car could be a threat. I mean, if he's got a short-run car, he's one of the few drivers out here that it seems like he does. So it could be something if that's what it comes down to.
We could be seeing the 70 of Scott Eckridge heading down pit road so early as part of a 3-stop strategy here. Most of the guys, I think, are going to go with the 2-stop strategy and try to save an extra set of tires for a late caution. But some might have the 3-stop strategy. Man, I'll tell you what, Greg Evans was loose in that number 2 car through turns 1 and 2. That car was nearly sideways as here we are talking about strategy with tires, and these guys are just burning them off.
Dirt tracking it into the corner. I've noticed that as well. Greg Evans has definitely been almost setting the car into the corner. He gets real hard on the input and kind of gets the car sideways on entry a little bit. Then he kind of rides that banking out of the corner and doesn't seem to be affecting his tires all that bad. I mean, he's running P4 after overtaking a few cars earlier in the race. The 4th is definitely not a bad position to be in. I mean, that's the catbird seat were anything to happen to the leaders. And looks like we got some more cars down pit road, Jim.
I believe that's the one of Jason Stewart. That was the guy that got the late start to the race. So he is on pit road now, going to drop 1 lap off of the leader. We'll see how the new tires fare compared to the older tires, as these guys now have 40 laps on that set of tires if they haven't been to pit road just yet.
And of course, the benefit to that 3-stop strategy that you were talking about, Jim, is that these guys are going to be about 2 seconds per lap faster on those fresh tires. And they're going to have fresh tires one more time in the race than anybody who takes a 2-stop. And we go 3 wide here. Gutierrez and that 08 machine in the middle as the 29 is going to ride around up top. Man, they got that sorted out pretty quickly, but a bit of a scary situation. But back to the strategy. The downside of that 3-stop strategy, of course, is that it's a bit of a risk. If you come into pit early and you're a lap down behind the leader and then a caution were to come out, that could just get you trapped. So definitely a bit of a risk versus reward situation with that 3-stop strategy.
And this track is known for trapping drivers a lap down on pit road. When you see green flag pit stops here, these guys are great drivers, and not to take anything away from them, but somebody at these 1.5-mile tracks usually runs over somebody coming to pit road. And if by chance the car spins back across the white line out onto the racing surface, it could draw a caution. So that's just one of the things coming to pit road that these drivers have to deal with. The other thing is it's a very sandy environment here at Homestead, Miami, and that pit road entrance is very slippery when you get down there. Oh, we got a car sideways. That's Jamie Moore in the 82 car. He's sideways. He looks like he was coming to pit road and turned down there in the turn 3 area. See if that number 82 does. I'm sorry, that was turn 1.
So maybe an issue coming off of pit road using that access road. We're going to take a look at the replay here, identify exactly what happened. So he's going down the front stretch past the pit road exit into turn 1. He's kind of riding the high line here a little bit. And then just broke loose, it looks like, Jim. I'm not sure. Maybe he had a tire go down.
Quite possibly. That does have the look of a left rear tire issue, but I can't imagine that the left rear is getting that much wear. The problem that you have here is mostly right front, and if you're driving the car a little more sideways, it ends up being the right rear. But man, that was an odd incident.
Yeah, and unfortunately now he might have to deal with some rear end damage throughout the rest of this race. We talked a lot about how much the aero affects your car at this track and how turbulent it can feel. Well, it's about to be a lot more turbulent for the 82 car with that kind of messed up rear spoiler for sure. So he's probably hoping for a caution to get that fixed up. Looks like we got Corey Silva coming on down pit road, and Mahan, he's going to join him. He's going to make that hard left turn down pit road. Man, this has got to be one of the most difficult pit road entries on a 1.5. Just that shift in banking, how hard that turn is. I'm watching these guys just veer down pit road, and I've seen a million races at this track, and it just never ceases to amaze me how much these drivers really got to sail it down into pit road.
You know, I practiced my pit road entry for green flag pit stops in my Menards truck for the HomeNet Hosting Truck Series, and I spun out more times than I made it into pit road, and I think I hit the barrels about 4 out of 5 times that I actually was slightly successful. And then come the race last night, we were able to get on pit road safely, but a little slower than we like to. Look at that. They are really coming down pit road at a hot speed there. That's Tim Knott in the Gunskins 41. They're behind. Is that the 6 of Jared Haggerty?
Yep, I do believe that is the number 6. We got the 17, Kevin Stone, also making his way down pit road. John Eckert, Jared Haggerty. They have all made that hard left turn. They're getting their 4 fresh Goodyears and fuel. Nick Curling in that 10 car. Yeah, pit road got real busy real quick, and sometimes that's a bit frustrating as a driver. You kind of want to make your way down pit road when it's as clear as possible. So when you make that hard left turn and then you see everybody in your mirror or everybody ahead of you also doing the same thing, you know your job just got about 10 times harder, having to navigate the cars, steer clear of everybody, make sure you get a nice clean entry. And this track, even the pit road exit's kind of tough. I know it really isn't much of a problem for these guys because they are some fantastic drivers, but that pit road exit, that access road, can get really slick really quickly, especially if anybody has any issues. They drive down through the dirt, they kick up some marbles onto that access road. That can make your car real unsettled, especially at low speed. So got to be focused in on pit road exit here.
You might not want to mention dirt. The fine folks at our favorite national sanctioning body for stock car racing might put turtles in around that, and that would just kill everybody when they come off of pit road.
Oh man, they'll make the whole infield paved with turtles, but then they're going to convert Homestead to a dirt track. As Steve Yanish is also making his way down pit road, he's going to be one of the I think final drivers. I think most everybody, save for a few, has kind of made that turn down pit road. So he's going to get his car serviced. And right now, it is still the number 11 car, Seville, leading the way. He's got I believe that's about a 6-second gap over the number 2 car, Evans. So yeah, this green flag running order, maybe not jumbled up by these pit stops as much as I thought. I thought with how separated these strategies were, we might see a little bit more shift in running order. But I don't know, these guys have really been able to keep this show on the road and keep their positions, and they're just consistent as all get out right now.
This is uncharted territory for Greg Evans, as our producer Carlos is going to remind me. He led the majority of the laps last season en route to his championship. So him running second and barely being able to see the car in front of him, this is not familiar territory for Mr. Evans, who also is a new dad last week.
Congratulations to him. A lot of babies recently. That is pretty cool though. And hey, what a big win it would be if he could get to the lead and get this win right after that. That would be quite incredible. More cars down pit road. Huge group going to join him. I guess less cars had pitted than I thought. We got hard into the inside wall. That's the 24 car. Not sure if he had some help there, maybe.
Looks like the 53 of John Bouchard got together there with Alan Young, and he went spinning on pit road. Now we got the 2 car, Greg Evans, making his way to pit road. And looks like he's going to pit before Tyler Seville. So we're going to see the difference between Tyler Seville's old tires and Greg Evans' new tires, as those were the front-running 2 cars there on that run.
And it's going to be interesting to see just how much time this 11 loses. And does he dip down pit road this time by to try and minimize that damage? Yes, he does. He's going to dive down onto the apron, make his way into pit road. So overall, he should only lose about 2 seconds, having pitted 1 lap later. But they did lose both of them, the number 2 and the number 11, both lost a ton of time to those drivers who were on the 3-stop strategy and have been on fresh tires for almost upwards of 20 laps now.
And it is over 2 seconds, almost 3 seconds difference between fresh tires and old tires.
Got a little bit of 3-wide action there for a minute before they got it sorted out. We've seen more 3-wide than I was expecting. It's happened a few times, and man, these guys have done a phenomenal job racing in and around each other, holding their lines, and putting on quite a show thus far. On the screen right there, that's going to be the 55 car. I believe it's Brian Yaksik. He's going to be making his way down. Yasik, I apologize. He has made his way down pit road, and some more cars exiting. So looks like Yenish coming down pit road as well. We got a gaggle of cars here on the front stretch, kind of spearheaded by this 92 machine, Evan Black. He's got some 2-wide action behind him. That's the 12 car, Jackson Van Volkenberg. The 17, Kevin Stone. They're kind of battling it out as now he's going 2-wide himself. Whoa! Man, oh man, that 53, John Bouchard, he got really loose coming out of the corner and was able to gather it up before making contact with the cars above him. Wow, that was close.
So now that these guys are on their fresh tires, let's take a ride along for a couple laps in a few of the different cars just to see how fast they really are going now that they're on those fresh tires. And let's do a Shaynow FX Pedals Overdrive here on 3Wide TV. right, folks, that was a fun ride there, as you got to see see and hear the sights and sounds going around the Homestead Miami Speedway as part of the 3-Wide TV 200 Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series event here tonight.
So far, it has been an all-clear race. It's been green flag racing and a very methodical style of racing. You kind of mentioned while we were on the Crank It Up, you said getting a little bit drowsy, and I think this has been some very methodical, almost a relaxing style of racing, about as relaxing as barreling around an oval at 200 miles an hour can be, I would say. But these guys have just been putting on a fantastic show. It's not often you see such kind of, I guess I could call it consideration. You know, I've seen a lot of times where these drivers could make aggressive moves that maybe wouldn't end so well, and they think better of it. And it's just been a great show all around. And I think the strategy that we've seen, Jim, is going to really shake up this race and the finishing order. Some drivers on a 3-stop strategy, some drivers on a 2-stop strategy. And right now, I think it's up in the air as to what strategy is going to be the winner.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I can guarantee that we won't see any 3-stop strategies. I'm sorry, any 3-tire changes during the race.
Absolutely. I think, man, the 00 got a huge run coming out of that corner. I was keeping an eye there on Clarence in that 99 machine. And then, Grant Brown got a huge run on the bottom lane. He's going to get around on the bottom, probably slide up on exit here. He's clear and moving his way up through the field, running P17 currently. And again, I think a lot of this running order is subject to change as these sequences kind of sort themselves out, pit strategies and whatnot. Will Worsler currently running P13. He was all the way up into, I believe, P6 before the green flag stops had commenced. Adam Jersky ahead of him. He's kind of the next car in sight, and they're going to duke it out here. He's going to send it way down low. You mentioned earlier how they can really kind of sail it in on the bottom and try to pull those slide drops, so that's what the Henry is going to do, but not quite going to have enough. He's going to have to regroup in line and try again next time around. Ahead of these guys, there's another battle breaking out, Jim. We got Danny Gutierrez as well as Woody Mahan. He is really rocking that high side. The car looks a little bit tight. I'm looking at his steering inputs, and it looks like he's really cranking on that thing to maintain that high side, but it's working out for him. Every time the 08 machine gets that run on the bottom, he just sails out of that corner, regains that ground, and seems to be able to kind of play a little bit of defense there.
Yes, in the battle that's caught my eye, we have a new leader. Jordan Harnish has taken the lead there on that exchange of pit stops. But Scott Eckrich, who's been down at the bottom part of the top 10, just outside of the top 10, all race long, and made that early stop, is all the way up to second, just 3 seconds behind Jordan Harnish. Remember, Jordan Harnish had a fast car at the beginning of the race. If the 11 car wasn't here, he would have been the fastest car. But then was just trapped in that bubble of air and then dropped back as the run went on. So let's see how Harnish plays out here with his number 27. And, of course, Scott Eckrich there with the 70 right up to second. And we'll see how that plays out. He should be coming down pit road probably in the next 15 or so laps for his second stop if he plans on making the 3-stop strategy work out and play it out as it should be played to get the maximum tires out of the race.
Yeah, he's definitely been on those tires for quite a while. He was one of the first drivers to make his way down pit road. So right now, definitely feeling the effects is the 94 machine, Corey Silva. He's going to get around in pretty much no hassle on the bottom, slide right on up in tow of that 23 machine, Steve Yenish. And so far, looks like Tyler Seville is on the hunt. He's trying to reclaim that lead. He's got a ways to go. Of course, Jordan Harnish way out ahead. He's just coming out of turn 2 now. And then here comes the 11 out of turn 2. So nearly a half a straightaway difference between them. He's got a lot of ground to make up. But that 11 car has been fast all night. I think if anybody could do it, it would be Tyler Seville.
Let's do our 3-Wide TV trivia question. So this one is available to anybody not named Peter Short in our chat over there. So tell me who the first NASCAR winner at the Homestead Miami Speedway was, and we'll see who wins that.
That's a tough one. That is a tough one.
It is a very tough one.
Sanctioned? A NASCAR sanctioned or any series?
Will be a NASCAR points race. NASCAR National Series points race.
I got nothing. That's a little before my time. but I'm curious to see if anybody in chat gets that one right. Tyler Seville running 32.7 last time around. So that's not a bad lap time for how long he's been on those tires. But a 33.2 from the leader, Jordan Harnish. So those older tires on the 27 car starting to maybe kind of affect him a little bit. I think the 11 is closing in quite a bit. And give it a few more laps, we may have a battle for the lead on our hands.
And while we're right here at the halfway point, let's go through the field. I will start with Jordan Harnish in the Beef Jerski's Cheesecake Emporium number 27 Ford. He started the day in the second row and then made his way to the lead after a cycle of pit stops. And on your screen, you're going to see Tyler Seville here in just a minute. He led the most laps in the first half of the race, and that number 11 was the pole winner, and is clawing his way back to the front as he got a little bit behind there, had a little longer run on the first day than most other drivers.
Running P2 right now, it's that number 11. He sat on the pole. Tyler Seville, he has been wheeling that machine around the track all night long. Definitely been the car that I've been keeping my eye on. And still, his lap times are far beyond anybody else. I'm here in a 33.0 last time around. Your leader in a 33.5. So he's on the hunt, trying to reclaim the lead.
In the third position, Steve Yenich. That's a rookie this season in the number 23. And he is 35 years old, out of Winter Garden, Florida. So this is a home state race for him in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series as he makes his second start of his career. Currently running P3.
Back in P4, you got that 94 car, Corey Silva. I don't know if we keep track of overtakes, but I know that 94 has got to be in the running for most overtakes. It seems like he has been involved in a ton of battles all night long. And just as we say that, another battle approaches him from behind. That number 2 car is going to be challenging him. But he has been absolutely on the ball with the overtakes, using the high line, the low line, every line he can find tonight, and it's paid off. He's running P4 right now.
And the defending series champion, Greg Evans, just took over the 4th spot. He led on that exchange of pit stops. The new dad there in the number 2, the iRacing iFlag Chevrolet, is now fighting his way up towards the front of the field.
And back there running in P6, it is going to be Ryan Yasik, it looks like, in that number 55 machine. I think the pit strategy that he pulled earlier is really helping him out. He started a little bit further back in the field, now trying to close in on a top 5 position. Definitely one of the biggest movers of the night.
And Doug Mullins right there in the number 18 machine. He is now in the 7th position in that Will Wursler Racing Chevrolet from St. Petersburg, Florida. So another home state driver. Mullins plans to run the full schedule this season after running the majority of the schedule last year, but missed some races when he was overseas at the beginning of the year.
AJ Digby back in P8 is one of the only drivers that is running lap times in contention with that 11. Last time around, it was a 33.4, so not too far off the leader. He's slowly been kind of improving his times. He's been very consistent tonight. We haven't talked about him much, but I think in terms of consistency, if you're not giving us much to talk about, that's usually a good thing if you're a driver. You want that consistency, and it's working out as he is slowly clawing his way up the grid.
And then we'll drop back there to Will Wursler. He's the ringleader of the Will Wursler Racing team. Actually, I take that back. Nicky is the ringleader. Will is just one of the guys that drives the car. So I'll be more than happy to tell you down there from New Johnsonville, Tennessee. He was last year's Sportsman of the Year, won the Norm Foose Sportsmanship Award, and just a really good guy. He's had a pretty quiet night, though, and he's lingered right around the back of the top 10 just about all race long.
Can't complain about a top 10. And speaking of top 10, rounding out your top 10, that's going to be Danny Gutierrez in that 08 machine. He's been solid all night. He's shown to have some rear long run speed. I think the short runs are kind of his Achilles heel. But as the run goes on, he just picks up more and more speed. With a 33.7 last time around, maybe not quite on pace with the leaders at the moment, but give it some time, and I think he's going to continue to gain ground.
And we have a lead change. Almost. There we go. No lead change. Man, Tyler Seville really caught Jordan Harnish in a hurry, and I thought he was going to clear him in that corner, but just did not. So Harnish's Beef Jerski's Cheesecake Emporium. Yes, Adam, I'd like a free cheesecake. Send it on up to the booth. is just a little too fast to be passed that quickly.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a smart call, I think, by the 11. I think the 11 knows he's got a little bit fresher tires. He's got a little bit of a better car right now, and there's no need to be too aggressive. You know, when he makes this overtake, he can afford to make sure that the opportunity he seizes is one that is 100% beneficial, not at all risky. And I think if he were to try to make that move right there, that late into the run, down the straightaway, it might have been a little bit of a risk, a little bit challenging. Whereas right now he's kind of riding behind the 27. And you can just wait for that door to open up and make the move with those fresher tires.
So we still don't have a winner of our trivia question here. We've had guesses of Tony Stewart. Well, Tony Stewart was the first Cup Series winner at the Homestead Miami Speedway, but not the first NASCAR winner. So we'll continue on there, and see who might be able to get us a guess. And if we don't get a guess here by I don't know, maybe lap 100 or so, maybe we'll let Mr. Peter Short give us the answer.
I'm gonna make a guess. Was it a Bodine?
It was not.
Okay, it didn't. I was thinking maybe Truck Series. Maybe the trucks went there first, and I was thinking of names that are big in the Truck Series. But I'm looking at this 11 car, and around the outside, although down a lap, is going to be the number 70. He is on fresher tires. He just ran a 31.9 last time around versus the leader in that 27 car. He ran a 33.5. So nearly a 2-second difference. He's going to try to unlap himself, that 70 machine. Scott Eckrich piloting that car. He's going to get around the inside of the 15. And definitely some of the freshest tires in the field, and it's showing. He is marching his way through this traffic.
One of the big things that happened with the Homestead Miami Speedway as far as iRacing is it got a graphical update in one of the most recent builds. And you see all kinds of new paved runoff areas. We saw that come into play earlier with the incidents. You also see the new paint along the wall with the NASCAR logos, and of course the paint on the inside of the front stretch. And just to have my pride in watching The Crew on Netflix, you can even check out the detail on that new update because they even have the hot dog girl off turn 2.
That's an incredible tidbit of information. What else is incredible is the 27 is getting overtaken by the 11. It took him about a lap. He got to the inside, and every time he got to the middle of the corner, that run would sort of stall out, and he'd have to regroup. But after a little while, he was able to get clear of the 27. Of course, now maybe not so easy. The 27 got right up on his bumper going into the corner, running about a lane lower. He's trying to make something happen, trying to stay with that 11. But man, I think the difference in tires is going to be definitely the deciding factor in this battle.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody, well, if they have anything for the 11, they most certainly haven't shown it just yet. The only one that really may have something that we haven't seen is the 70 of Eckrich, because we haven't seen him and the 11 car of Seville head-to-head in competition. We've seen each have their own turn kind of up at the front. So see how it plays out at the 200-mile mark and who comes out on top. Oh, we do have a winner of our. Look at that! Somebody guessed it. They know that Dale Jarrett won the first NASCAR race at Miami.
Was it really? Wow.
Own car.
In his own car. Wow. That's pretty interesting. One thing to take note of here, you mentioned that if anybody has anything for the 11, they haven't shown it yet. Well, there is a bit of a dynamic factor that is changing, and that is a lot more lap traffic right now. We've been green for a long time, and the pit sequences have gotten everybody jumbled up. And for the first time all race long, I think the leader is going to be dealing, I apologize, with a lot more lap traffic. You can see right now he's got the 15 car ahead of him. That's John Eckert. As the 11 gets right up on the bumper, he's going to probably try to get this overtake and come down this back stretch. But ahead of Eckert, I mean, you just got a steady stream of cars. Michael Whitting, who has a little bit of damage to that rear spoiler. That's going to slow him down a little bit. You've got Thomas George in the 88 car. And then right ahead of him, you got the 41. So before long, this 11 car is going to be dealing with quite a bit of traffic, and that might open the door to somebody like Jordan Harness in that 27 to try and use that lap traffic as a pick and maybe close this ground back up. Because as this run goes on, another thing to note, these tires are going to equalize. Right now, the 11 car is a little bit better, but I'm looking at these lap times, and slowly but surely, they're starting to get closer and closer. The 11 is getting more and more worn in pairing with that 27.
I think we are going to have quite the run to the finish if this stays clean. But I'll tell you what, the 2-car Greg Evans is definitely no slouch either, as I believe he's closing in a little bit there. That we may see a 3-wide battle here in the 3-wide 200 at Homestead Miami Speedway on 3-wide TV.
You mentioned you thought he was closing in a little bit. You are absolutely right. He was 0.3 of a second faster last lap than the 27 and 1/10 faster than the 11. So he is actually closing the gap to the leader little by little. He's got a lot of ground to make up. But I think there's enough racing left that it's definitely a possibility if the cards fall in his favor. And I don't know. I think the number 2 has been playing the long game all night long. He seems to have the best long run setup out of anybody. We mentioned before he pitted last time, he was really sliding it into the corner. And it looked like he should have been wearing his tires out a lot more than everybody else, but his lap times just didn't correlate that. He was still running on par with the leaders the entire run. So whatever he found with that setup, that car is a rocket.
Absolutely. Thomas George getting ready to go a lap down there in the number 88. He finished second at Daytona. He was leading last week's HomeNet hosting 250 out of turn 4 at Daytona, coming to the checkered flag, and was passed by Greg Evans in the closing feet. And that just shows you how different Daytona is from the 1.5 miles on Homestead. Daytona is its own animal. And then you get to these 1.5 miles, and we've heard the term cookie cutter. This is not a cookie cutter 1.5 miles. This is totally different than any other 1.5 mile track that we go to, shape-wise, and also just the physical aspects of the track, the banking, as well as the tire wear and the abrasiveness of the asphalt, plus the climate. I mean, the weather here is warmer than what we see at a lot of tracks.
And you don't have a lot of runoff on the front straightaway. If your car gets loose coming out of the corner, if that happens at Atlanta or Texas or some of these other 1.5s, you have a lot of runoff. You've got infield, the whole pit road. A lot of these 1.5s don't have an outside pit road wall, and you kind of have some room to recover. If anything happens coming out of the corner here, you got that teal blue wall not too far to the inside. So another thing that makes it difficult is the 88 gets really sideways. You were just talking about Thomas Jordan, that 88. He got completely sideways out of turn 4. That's going to allow the 44 car to try and get a run. That is for position. Michael Whitting and Thomas George, they are on the same lap. So they're battling it out for P30 right now. The 44 almost getting a run. He thought better of it. I think a good call there. I think if he sent it in on the inside, maybe a little bit risky, but he's going to be able to regroup, and it looks like he's got a lot more entry speed coming into the corner. He's able to drive it in a little bit deeper. And I got to wonder, maybe that raised rear spoiler with that damage, maybe that's helping corner entry but harming corner exit.
Well, the fastest car on the track the last few laps was Scott Eckrich there in the mid-33s. He's about 0.3 of a second faster than your leader, Tyler Seville. But the fastest lap of the race, Steve Yenich ran it. It was a 31.446. This is so far. And your leader last time ran a 33.768, nearly 2 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race. Does that show you how much tire wear matters here?
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where at this track, when your tires start to wear, you feel like you have more in that car than you really do. You think you can drive it in a little bit deeper. You think you can get on the throttle a little bit sooner, but you can't. The car is just not going to take it. So you almost have to voluntarily give up a little bit of that speed and keep the car stable, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself spinning on corner exit really easily. But we got a battle right now, and that's going to be for P4. Yenish getting a little bit tight on exit. He's able to gather it up, but this battle is going to continue.
Jacek is a man on a mission. Maybe he got the call that we need to get this race in the books and get his wife off to the birth of the child there. But man, he is just really flying now in that 55.
Yeah, Jacek, he ran a 33.6 last time around. Not bad considering the cars ahead of him running 34.0, 34.1. 34.0 again. I mean, he is absolutely on a mission. And I think there's so many unknowns with the strategies that these guys are pulling. It's hard to tell which is going to be beneficial to these guys. But Jacek definitely, I think, made a right call with whatever he's doing, because he is flying right now.
We are going to see the round of pit stops continue here now. I believe the 14 car of AJ Digby just radioed through. We're listening to his radio. He'll be coming to pit road.
For a lot of these guys, this will be their final stop. They should be good to the end once they get their 4 fresh good years. Some of these guys, of course, on a bit of a different sequence, so you're going to see how it plays out for them. But there goes the 14. It's a clean entry. Didn't overshoot it. Got stopped. He's going to get his 4 fresh Goodyears. And here comes, yep, there's the 27 car. He's going to make his way down a little bit squirrely on entry, but I think he got it woed up in time. Pit road getting way busy.
That Loud Pedal Motorsports entourage is coming to pit road. You know, that team pits all together. They go all in on a pit strategy, and you very rarely see any of them vary from that strategy.
Yeah, team strategy is definitely something you're going to see a lot of in NASCAR and in sim racing. You kind of want to work with your team. You want to work with the people, you know, it's definitely beneficial. The 94 has to back it up a little bit, it looks like, on his pit stall entry. Maybe it was a little bit of lag on my end because it didn't look like he backed up that much, but he did slide really close to that yellow line. Now the left side of the car getting raised up, he's getting his tires. But if he did have to back up, that could be detrimental for Corey Silva, who has had a pretty good car all night long.
Evans also on pit road in the 2 car. We just saw him. There's Mullins in the 18. I suspect Tyler Seville won't be too far behind. I don't think that he wants to be the last car to make the last stop. I think that did hurt him a little bit, and then having to come back.
And that is the difference. Fresh tires on that 39 machine. He's going to sail around on the bottom. But I think you're absolutely right, Jim. I think the 11 is kind of keeping what happened early in the race in mind. He knows that staying out that long maybe hurt him in the long run. It helped him in the short run. He was able to lead some more laps than he might have otherwise if he came in early and gave somebody else the lead. But overall, I think he lost a lot of time, and he had to do a lot of hard driving to reclaim that lead. Honestly, I'm incredibly impressed that he was able to even get back up to the lead with how much time he lost. So maybe learning as the race progresses, and maybe going to change up the strategy, or maybe not. Maybe he feels confident that he can stay out as long as possible and still climb his way up top. I mean, that car has been so fast. I could see him having a little bit of confidence in it.
With the depth of the field here, I don't know how much you can give up by staying on the track on older tires. You do not want to end up being 12th, 13th, or 14th, and then a caution come out and everybody come down pit road and get tires at the same time. That would be the worst case scenario for the 11 car. As a matter of fact, the 11 car's in it for the long haul. He wants to see it go green to the end. He wants to make one more stop and make that his final stop. And as far as we know, we believe the 70 of Eckrich will also be on pit road one more time, as he already has 28 laps on his set of tires. But we'll have to see. I mean, it's all going to play out and depend on if we get a caution or if we stay green to the end.
Absolutely. Danny Gutierrez was one of the cars that pitted last time around. So he is now on his first lap up to speed. Going to be interested to see how much time he gained by kind of pitting a little bit earlier than he did last cycle. But that is our leader down pit road, Jim. We got the 11. And maybe like you said, he's pitting a little bit earlier than before. He learned from the first time around.
Well, he is pitting here at lap 99, so a little shorter run than his first run, which I believe was closer to 50 laps or 55 laps than it was to the 40 laps that we kind of figured was about a pit stop run here. So he's on pit road, and see, I'm sure it's going to be 4 tires. I don't think anybody would take 2 here at Homestead, Miami, but you never know.
It could be a crazy strategy call. I think 2 tires would definitely affect the handling in a very negative way, but I'm in the booth and not on the track, so I couldn't tell you for sure. Maybe that's the kind of wild card these guys could pull out. Taking a look at Jeremy Banning in the number 30 car, he is one of the cars that has yet to pit. I believe he ran a 34.2 last time around, kind of indicative of old tires, as well as Jonathan Holstein. He's in that 73 machine.
We just had 4 wide on the front stretch.
That is really crazy, given how narrow this front stretch can really feel, with that wall being as close as it is. That's a lot of 3 wide and 4 wide action tonight that you don't often see at Homestead.
We're going to have to petition Carlos to change our name to 4 Wide TV after that.
And here comes the number 11. He's on a hot lap after getting those fresh tires. Last time around, it was a minute 3, so this is going to be his first lap up to speed. He just worked his way around the 24. That's Alan Young in P14. He's going to be making his way down pit road right now. He's making that hard left turn to get it loaded up, and it's a pretty routine entry, but we're riding on board right now. I believe with that 11 car, and you can just kind of see the difference in lap times there, Jim. That looks like a guy who is on a mission right there.
Absolutely. That is the class of the field right there with Tyler Seville, the Warsaw Racing number 11. There's a few things that could keep him from winning this race. But if it stays green and he doesn't run into the back of any of these slower cars that are still on the track, he has the best shot at being that guy here tonight.
Absolutely. Currently running in the lead, it's going to be Adam Jersky in that 69 machine. I'm going to see if I can get this right. It's the beef Jersky cheesecake machine. Carlos said I probably wouldn't get that right. Hopefully I did. He's running about a 33.8 last time around, so I'd say his tires aren't completely gone, but they are well on their way, and I think he's going to have to either bring it down pit road or definitely stretch these tires as I'm making it to the end.
Carlos probably had a side bet with him that you wouldn't get it, and he was probably going to get a free cheesecake out of the deal.
That's exactly it.
Well, we're in that last third of the race here, as we just have just a little under 50 miles to go. Yes, 50 miles to go.
It is winding down. It's going by quick. I mean, with again, not to activate the commentator's curse and knock on wood, but with a completely green flag run, this race has been going by quick. And like you said at the very beginning, that is why these drivers have that sense of urgency, even from the very beginning. From the drop of the green flag, they know they got to get all the track position they can, because in a race that's a little bit shorter, 134 laps, 200 miles doesn't sound like a short distance, but when you don't get cautions and everything stays green, it goes by in the blink of an eye, and you never know what kind of situations are going to happen on track that are going to hold you back, and you gotta give it all you got from the very beginning. So looks like Adam Jersky letting a few of these cars by that are on fresher tires. Of course, they are a lap down. Clarence in that 99 just got around him. Danny Gutierrez as well, running a 32.9 last time around on those slightly fresher tires. And Jared Haggerty in that 6 car getting a little bit loose coming out of turn 4. He's going to lead that pack that just unlapped themselves. And a late entry to pit road, Jim. We got Kevin Klein down pit road.
200 miles doesn't sound like a lot until you get out there and you forgot to do your arm workouts for the week. Didn't lift any weights prior to the race, so it is a long way. A lot of these guys using the direct drive wheels; those will give you quite the workout as well, and you'll feel it the next day. 200 miles all under green. That's a hard day's work.
Absolutely. I mean, it's amazing how it's a bit of a duality. These races, physically, they exhaust you and they feel like they go on forever, but mentally, it's like you're so laser focused on the race. You think, man, has it really been 20 laps? And then you feel how sore your arms are, and you're thinking, yep, it's been that long.
The truck race last night was 100 miles, and it felt like it was 200 miles the way that the trucks are a little tighter than the Cup cars. And it was at night, so the track was had a little more grip to it. They really do give you quite the workout.
Absolutely, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't credit NASCAR as much for, is the physical aspect with stock car racing. I mean, when you're oval racing like this, it is constant steering wheel input. You're turning left, you're fighting that wheel. You're not necessarily steady on the wheel. You're sometimes sawing on it, making minor corrections, and then you go down the straightaway for a few seconds, then you're right back on the wheel again. And in a green flag run that goes on for hours, that is going to get real tiring real quick. Usually you have some yellow flags or some, depending on different leagues and different rules, sometimes you have stage breaks. But tonight, all green, all the way. Definitely demanding for these drivers. And the number 11, he is completely closing that gap. He is on a mission.
Yep, Jordan Harnish back to the lead now with Greg Evans, Brian Yazik, and then Tyler Seville closing in. I think he's closing in even faster than he did the first time that he had to come back.
It would appear so. He's now making a move on Yazik. He's going to get down to the bottom. Not going to side draft. He's just going to get up alongside the door, take the lower line, say about a car length up into the corner. Now he's going to slide up. It's a textbook pass. And I'll tell you what, he passed that 55 machine, Yazik, like he's sitting still. But honestly, I'm looking at Brian's lap times in that 55 car. He ran a 32.8 last time around. That's not a bad lap time. The difference is that the 11 is just absolutely in his own zip code. I mean, the speed that 11 car has is just unparalleled.
Yes, about the only thing faster than that 11 car here at Homestead is how fast my beef Jersky's cheesecake has disappeared.
Oh man, both of them?
Both of them.
Oh man, well, definitely going to be feeling that one tomorrow, I think. But right now, I'm looking at Greg Evans. He's still P2. His lap times are pretty good. They're on par with Yasik. He's running a 32.87 last time around, so definitely not quite as fast as the 11, who ran a 32.4. That's 4 tenths faster. But as for everybody else in the field that isn't in an 11 car, that's pretty much class of the field. He is on pace, and just amazing how that number 2, Greg Evans, has slowly worked his way up through the field tonight, running P2 in a podium position. Just astounding consistency. And like I said, one of the best long run cars on the track. You look at the way he's driving this car, you look at how he's sailing it into the corner, how sideways he's getting, and you got to think, man, he is abusing that car and taking everything that it has. But his lap times just never fade like everybody else's. So I don't know. I'm curious to see where he is at the end of this thing. If he's got a shot at it, I think he might. And the 11 continuing to close the gap behind him, Tyler Seville, although he's going to have to go through John Bouchard and that 53 machine, as he is actually going to get to the inside of the number 2. He's a lap down, but he is on fresher tires, so he's going to try and march his way up through the field. And being on a similar pace to the 11, Jim, that could pose a bit of an interesting challenge. Maybe a car that's more on a level playing field having those fresher tires.
Well, now you see that Adam Jersky just got around the 11 car as now he's setting sail to go around Greg Evans now. Jersky not on the lead lap, but that actually held
Car in
up
the wall,
the
31.
Oh, Larry Orn into the wall.
Sorry to cut you off there. The leaders were coming up on him real quick. I was kind of anxious as to how that was going to play out, but the 31, Larry Orn, he did a fantastic job recovering that thing. I mean, when he hit that wall, you could see the car shoot down towards the traffic, but he got that thing gathered up lightning quick. I mean, the reflexes that he had to have had to keep that thing going the right direction are impeccable.
And we definitely know that our drivers weren't staring up at the sky at the cloud that looks like Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, hard into that outside wall, and man, he gathered that up. How did he do that?
I'll tell you what, at Daytona last week, that would have been a 25-car pileup.
It absolutely would have. Luckily, a little bit more room to maneuver. So going into the corner, looks like maybe a little bit of contact from the 27. Definitely, I don't think it was intentional. It kind of looked like the arrow sort of just brought them together. Like their cars just kind of got sucked together. Luckily, both of the drivers gathering it up. I think the 27 got off a little bit better for wear than the 31. But again, I can't praise that recovery enough. I mean, that was a fantastic job behind the wheel from Larry Orn.
We are in the final 20 laps, so let's go through our Hacksaw PC's 20 to go points of the race. And I'll start off with talking about Tyler Seville there in the number 11 car. And as the competition that he is now catching, Greg Evans, the defending series champion, these cars are going to become a lot harder to pass than the cars that he had to pass just 5 or 6 laps ago. We are down to the end of the race. This is all about track position, just in case that dreaded late race caution comes out. And Tyler Seville has to fight his way through, and fight he is now up to the 2nd position.
Absolutely. Points of the race for me, Greg Evans, man. He, like I said earlier, he has been so consistent all night long. One of the best long run cars, I think, on the track. And the lines he's running are kind of unconventional. Definitely very aggressive lines, aggressive getting to the bottom, aggressive driving down the banking. And yet it seems to be working out really well for him. Defending series champion Greg Evans running pretty well in P3 right now.
They have hit some lap traffic. Jordan Harnish got through the lap traffic okay. Tyler Seville got through it a little bit better, and now they have one car in between them. That's Clarence Bonner in the number 99. As Bonner shoots down to the bottom of the track. We'll see which groove Tyler Seville decides to take.
Hard into the inside wall. You got a car coming back up into the track. It's the 53. Hard hit. John Bouchard, he backed it back onto the rear straightaway after making hard contact with the inside wall. It looks like the car that got caught up in that, I'm going to try to find him. It was... can't quite find him, but we're going to take a look at the replay here. Going to the corner. 53 just gets a little tight on exit, makes contact with that left rear quarter panel. Didn't quite lock the brakes, and then hard contact from that 3 car. The 3 is being piloted by Michael Larch. Man, what a hit. That's going to be his day done.
what a hard hit. And what a heartbreaker for the caution-free race. We knew it was probably going to happen as a late race caution, as they seem to always do at these 1.5-mile tracks. But Jordan Harnish has his work cut out for him if he plans to bring that 27 car home to the win.
Yeah, this definitely changed the picture for a lot of drivers. I think one of the drivers happy to see this caution is definitely the number 11. He had a bit of a battle with that 27 car, and I don't think the overtake was a given. I think those two cars were really close on pace, and I think the lap traffic was going to be enough of a randomizing factor that it kind of leveled the playing field. And now, kind of restarting this race in clean air and clear traffic, I think it's going to be a little bit easier for the 11 to maybe try and get this jump, although who knows, Jordan Harnish in that 27, depending on how they get out of pit road, he may well start this race from the lead, meaning he gets to dictate when that green flag drops, which could be enough of an advantage. Coming out of pit road, the 11's going to, the 11 got it.
The pole winner, pit stall, takes the win through the race off of pit road.
Jonathan Holstein, one of the drivers that has stayed out, although he, I believe, has an opportunity to come down pit road this time, so we're going to see what he does. But yeah, so that's another win for the 11. I think that's going to make it a little bit easier to maybe get this lead and capitalize, being able to dictate when the race starts, being the control car. Yeah. Tyler Seville, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Tyler, your car is nothing short of a rocket ship out there. You have been definitely one of the dominant cars all night. You were closing in on the leader after that last set of pit stops, and now you got a caution. You're going to be starting the race as the control car. What's your outlook going forward?
I feel like I have a car that can win. That was an interesting caution. But yeah, we're going to do everything we can. It looks like the 70 might be staying out on older tires, so it's going to be all about this restart.
Absolutely. Well, good luck going forward in the race. Like I said, your car's been a rocket ship, so hopefully you can carry this momentum going forward. Thanks for your time, Tyler.
Thank you.
So Tyler Seville in the 11 car is going to be behind the 70, or alongside of the 70 of Scott Eckrich for the restart. Eckrich on 22-lap-old tires, and we know how the older tires versus the new tires. We've documented that over the last 120 laps. So I think we all know the answer to that. But then you got the 27 of Jordan Harnish, who's going to be on the inside line behind the 70. And the big question in probably everybody on the track, all the drivers' minds, is going to be how much is the 70 car with its older tires going to hold up the inside lane?
Absolutely. It's going to be a wild card, I think. And I didn't expect him to stay out at all. You know, I was kind of assuming that Tyler Seville was going to be the control car, that he was going to be out and away. But it's an interesting strategy. I mean, I'm not sure the 70, I'm not sure what his tire wear situation looks like. Maybe they're not as far gone as we think. He was one of the drivers that was on, I believe, a 3-stop strategy. So I don't know, man. If he can hold the bottom, if he can kind of maybe even if he stays within the top 5, top 10, that's still a net gain. I mean, just to stay out, it's an interesting strategy. And it looks like, even more interestingly, Jim, he chose the outside.
I have a feeling he chose the outside for less wheel spin. He doesn't want to be in the bottom of the corner, or I'm sorry, in the corner when they take off for the restart. And if you're in the outside line, you have a little bit straighter angle coming to the start-finish line where the pace car dips off the track. So the 2018 champion in that number 70, Scott Eckrich, the Amsoil Chevrolet, should see how he does here. He's got the outside. Tyler Seville and Jordan Harnish on the inside, and they got fresh tires. Greg Evans outside row number 2.
And they're off. It's a huge jump for Scott Eckrich in that 70 car. No wheel spin at all. I mean, and that's impressive for how worn those tires got to be. You mentioned he is a prior champion, and that was a champion's restart. It's not often you see a car on such old tires get a start that clean and get that much of a gap. As they're going to go too wide behind him, here comes that number 2 car, Greg Evans, with a huge move down to the bottom. Door to door going into 3 and 4. He's going to get the lead cleared up into the second lane. He's good to go. And behind him, it's 3 wide for second place as the 11 gets loose. He saves it.
Saved it. Nice job by the 11.
Man, that could have went a lot worse than it did. Again, another amazing recovery. This time it's the 11, Tyler Seville. And I think, with about 10 laps to go here, 11 laps to go, he didn't lose too much time. He has some time to maybe regain some ground. But right now, front of the pack, all Greg Evans.
Yeah, Greg Evans out to a little bit of a lead, not quite, a little over a half a second there as Jordan Harnish second. The thing that's going to hurt Tyler Seville in that 11, he scrubbed off the goodie on the Goodyear tires when he was slip sliding around out of turn 4.
Definitely could have flat spotted him or just, scuffed him up, which definitely is going to impact the handling. 27 got into the wall a little bit there. That's Jordan Harnish on corner entry. He was trying to get as wide as he could on the corner entry, and maybe a little bit too wide. Some sparks flew, and didn't lose too much time, but he did give up a bit of ground as we were looking at Yasik in that 55 machine, too wide for that position.
Evans with the fastest lap of the race last time by. Jordan Harnish ran his fastest lap the lap prior. Greg Evans has been on 2 hot laps in a row here, and we'll see how he does this time. But the fastest lap of the race by far.
A 31:108. That is faster than the pole time, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, which is incredible considering they're now in race trim. These tires, they have 3-4 laps on them, whereas the qualifying tires were completely fresh. That number 2 car, I said, if it comes down to it and he's in position, he's going to go for it. And man, he is flying right now.
Yeah, the track is cooling off a little bit. The sun is setting. The grip level's coming up. And those fresh tires, and Greg Evans is just a rocket ship in that number 2.
Coming around to lap 128. Going to be 7 to go once the leader crosses the line. 27 ran a 31.6 last time around versus a 31.6 to the leader. So almost identical lap times. Looks like Jordan Harnish is kind of getting in the groove. Definitely looks pretty planted. That car looks comfortable, not really sliding around in the corners too much. Riding on board with Harnish now. You see when he goes into the corner, look at that steering wheel. Look at how smooth that is as he goes in. Gets in the middle, a little bit of saw on it, a little bit of correction, but overall, that car is looking pretty comfortable for him.
Yeah, the Ford Mustang is one of the cars that Jordan has definitely succeeded in, and of course, we know that they're all the same. They just look a little different on the outside. Same horsepower, same physics models and all that. But Jordan Harnish, since switching to the Ford Mustang, has just really excelled. And I don't know if it's a psychological thing for him or if there's actually something to it. Maybe he likes the way that the dash is laid out in that car. But he has just become a real contender since he made the switch over to Ford.
And right now, he is gaining. It's a 32 flat for your leader, Greg Evans, and a 31.8 for Jordan Harnish in that 27 machine. He closed in 2/10 that time. He's got a little bit of a ways to go. But we got 5 laps left in this race. He might be able to get there.
Well, catching is one thing, passing is another.
That is definitely something we've seen all night long. We've seen him close in and just trying to get that overtake, trying to send it in on the bottom or even use the top. It's something that you kind of have to be patient with and wait for the right opportunity. But when you got 4 laps to go in a race, that time for patience is gone. There's some urgency there. You got to take whatever opportunity you have. So it could get pretty crazy up front if Harnish is able to catch up to Greg Evans. And he is still gaining. A little bit less that time. It was a 32.03 for the leader. For the 27 car, Jordan Harnish, that was a 32.07. So just gained by a few hundredths. If he wants to get there by the end of the race, that may not be enough.
I don't think that will be enough. He's going to have to just about improve by 1/10 a lap in order to get there. And that lap, he was 2/10 slower than Evans. So looks like the pendulum is swinging the other way now. It's now swinging towards Greg Evans.
Greg Evans probably doing a little bit of mirror driving, maybe getting on the loud pedal a little bit harder once he saw that 27 closing in. Right now, third place Steve Yenish is actually closing in slightly on Jordan Harnish. He is closing the gap by about 1/10 per lap. It was a 32.2 last time for Harnish. For Steve Yenish, it was a 32.1. So trying to get up into P2 possibly. But actually, the fastest car last time around, in the top 5 at least, was indeed Greg Evans with a 32.2.
Hey, well, we do need to talk about Jason Stewart in that number 1 car. That was the car that started on pit road and was nearly a lap down from the get-go. He is up to the 10th position and just 4.5 seconds behind your race leader. So late race caution comes out. Anything's possible.
That was absolutely an amazing comeback at his stage, and it seems like the cars ahead of him battling it out like they are. He might be able to close in just a little bit more, but we're on the white flag lap. It's going to be the end of the show, and right now it's still all Greg Evans with about a 10-car length lead.
Absolutely, Greg Evans in the iRacing iFlag number 2 Chevrolet for Steel Horse Racing. That's your 2020 Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series champion. And he is a round off of turn number 4, and he's going to take the checkered flag at Homestead Miami Speedway. 2 for 2 in the number 2 in 2021.
Coming home behind him, it's going to be Jordan Harnish, that number 27 machine, coming in P2. Steve Yenish, P3. AJ Digby in 4th, and rounding out your top 5, Doug Mullins, staging a bit of a late race comeback in that 18 car. He's going to finish there.
Man, that was an exciting race. A lot of different strategies, a lot of really good racing, and we saw plenty of 3-wide here in the 3-wide TV 200.
We absolutely did, and I think the end of that race was something that none of us could have accounted for. I mean, with Tyler Seville having that unfortunate near incident coming out of the corner and losing a little bit of time, scuffing up those tires, he ended up bringing it home 7th. And I think for both of us, he was definitely the clear favorite. So it goes to show you, man, no matter how dominant a car looks, no matter how much you hit that setup, you never know what's going to happen at the end of these things.
And a really big shout out to our producer, Carlos. We went commercial free.
Yeah, indeed we did. Commercial free pretty much all the way. And Carlos always does a fantastic job. It's fantastic working with him. Love it every time. And overall, just a fantastic race all night.
I believe Carlos is going to come over and do some interviews here for our top finishers at the conclusion of the race. I'm going to head over to race control, go talk to Sam Maxwell, the race director for the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series, and just debrief here for the post-race. And want to thank you guys for everything. And Andre, it was great to get to hang out with you. And what a great race we saw here tonight.
Absolutely. I want to thank you for having me on, Jim, bringing me out of the broadcast. Had a great time. Apologize for some of my mistakes there with the names and such, but hopefully hopefully I didn't do too bad. But thanks again for having me on.
All right. Well,
hey, I didn't hear any name mistakes. I was too busy watching the Abraham Lincoln cloud go over.
I've only seen the first episode. Okay, let's not spoil things for me.
Cloud, but
you got to load up your Netflix and watch the show The Crew. I think that's episode number 2.
I enjoyed the first episode.
Right,
I'm going to watch the second one. All right.
For our final results, I believe we have Mr. Carlos Acosta, who's going to take over for me.
Yes. Yeah, well, I am here. I think you guys should be able to hear me. You guys copy me? Hello? Uh-oh, we appear to be having a small technical issue. Not quite sure what's going on. Maybe they can hear me now? Can you guys hear me?
I believe you're hot, yep.
Alright, perfect. Alright, so not quite sure what happened there. I have to look at my settings. But yeah, Jim is not going to have to do too much debriefing because only had one caution, so not going to spend too much time discussing what possible issues and penalties could be going on. But what a fantastic race, Andre. I had a blast just watching these guys go side by side. We only had one caution, and it really didn't seem like it was going to be that bad.
No, go ahead.
No, yeah, definitely fantastic race overall. I had, a blast doing it, but, let's go ahead and go through the results here very, very quickly. All right, in first place, of course, Greg Evans getting tonight's win. Jordan Harnish in second with Steve Yenish in third. AJ Digby gained 14 spots overall and finished in fourth with Doug Mullins in fifth. Brian Yasick will be finishing sixth with Tyler Seville in seventh. Jeff Yenich is going to be finishing in eighth, while Corey Silva and Jason Stewart will round out your top 10, Andre.
Behind them, you got Michael Krobach. He was going to round out 11th. Will Worsler, who ran a really good race, kind of a pendulum type night for him. He was up the grid, he was down the grid, ultimately bringing it home in P12. Troy Haight in 13th, looks like. Cody Spiker in 14th. And then you've got Jimmy McKee, Jared Haggerty, Adam Jersky, Clarence Bonner, Kevin Stone, and Nick Curling is going to round out your top 20.
You are correct in that, as I have to update this here quickly so that it can show up here. There we go. I'm still getting used to how all these things, these new things that we're using for 2021 are being shown. But yes, 21st, Grant Brown, that's where he finished, of course, not where he wanted to, with Pete Baskins in 22nd. Jackson Van Volkenberg will finish 23rd with Scott Eckrich in 24th. Unfortunately, that strategy that Scott was using really relied on there not being a caution, or if there was one, then not being a caution where it happened, because went from first all the way to 24th in that like about 10 lap stretch. Not a good finish, but he'll shake it off, he'll bounce back. He's got the skill to run up front, and he's got the brains. Now he just needs the luck. We have Evan Black finishing in 25th. Alan Young, well, pardon me, Alan, I did not mean to offend you. Alan Young finishes in 26th. John Eckert, the I before V means it's a fourth. The fourth, with Larry Orn. Michael Whitting will be finishing 29th, and Jeremy Banning in 30th.
And to round out your field from 31st on back, it's going to be Thomas George, Tim Knott, Danny Gutierrez. Unfortunate night for him. He ran up front, had a really good car, and just strategy not falling in his favor. Woody Mahan, Jonathan Holstein, Kevin Klein, John Bouchard, Michael Larch, Anthony Pelican, Jamie Moore, Mark Myers, Adam Blattel, and Gary Reynolds. Those last three, I believe, were drivers who were sent home, did not qualify. But that is going to round out your field for the race.
Mm-hmm. Why don't we go ahead and quickly take a look at the unofficial point standings. Now, these will not show the bonus points that are awarded to the winners and anybody leading a laps, and whatever other bonus points are awarded, just base driver points. So the standings are subject to change. And in first place, as I appear to have knocked something off of my headset, is Greg Evans with unofficially a 6-point lead over Thomas George. Jordan Harnish in third, with Jimmy McKee looking to be in fourth. AJ Digby and Adam Jersky are both tied for fifth, with Larry Orn, Danny Gutierrez, Alan Young, and Troy Haight rounding out the top 10. So already 2 races into this fantastic season, we've only had one winner, Greg Evans, who won 12 races last season and is right now currently going perfect. But why don't we go ahead and see if we can bring in Steve Yenish, and let's make sure we bring in Steve and not his brother Jeff. Would be a little bit embarrassing if we bring in the wrong person. Let's see if he is even in the chat. They should be in the chat. Let's take a look. I don't appear to see any of the Yenish brothers, actually. No, I don't, unfortunately. So it looks like we will not be interviewing third place finisher Steve Yenish. But let's see if we can grab fourth place finisher AJ Digby. Let's see if we can give him a nice, quick, fun interview. Go ahead and move him on over to the waiting room and then bring in to... Oops, as I almost did something else. My mouse is not working well. I can't move him. There we go. AJ Digby. This is Carlos Acosta from 3YTV. Do you have a copy?
Yep, I got this.
How are you doing, AJ? Ended up finishing fourth. I know it's not the finish that you wanted. You wanted to get it there and battle for the lead. And we saw you charging there, making up a couple spots there at the end. But overall, just how was your night?
Honestly, pretty happy with the way that the day went. Did not have a great qualifying run, starting 18th, but very quickly got myself up into around 12th, and then was just slowly nipping my way up from there. Was going to be pretty content with a 9th place top 10 finish had we been able to stay green. So kind of interesting the way that the car slid up in front of everybody to cause the caution, but it ended up working out in the end for me, as I was able to get a good run on that restart and get my car back up into 4th and kind of in contention for the podium just outside. But all in all, it's a very good day. I was aiming for a top 10 clean race, and I ended up getting that and a little bit more with a little bit of help from that caution that ended up coming out.
Yeah, well said. Well said, and get to carry on a lot of momentum. Unfortunately, Daytona was not your best friend, but with this strong 4th place finish, you're looking at a solid top 10 points standing right now, and you're gonna get to California with some momentum. So that's it's good news for you. But yeah, are you looking forward to the track next week, or is California not really a track that's suited for your driving styles?
Ultimately, just trying to stack some good races together. At the very end of Daytona, I ended up actually pushing up into 5th in kind of a similar style, 4th here. So hopefully that can continue climbing up higher. But Auto Club has usually been a pretty decent track for me. We'll see, obviously, how the week goes. Getting a lot of good practice with the Will Horse Racing guys always helps increase my speed and my long run ability. So that really helped for me this week at Homestead, helped me be pretty quick on the long runs, and hopefully that can carry over into next week and all the future weeks here in the ASRS League.
Well said, and I do apologize. I had you in my head as having a bad finish in Daytona, but hey, you
had a bad race.
5th.
Got up at the end.
Yeah. But okay, well, before we do let you go to celebrate your top 5 finish, your second top 5 finish this season, why don't you have any shout outs you want to go ahead and give us? Anybody you want to thank?
Obviously, got to give the Will Horse Racing guys shout outs. All the work in practice and then the work here together in the race always helps. Jordan Berry for the paint, and also was helping out kind of as our pseudo spotter person in the booth, or in with us, not in the booth. And then you guys for the broadcast, the league organizers and everybody in it for the ability to race. And then our sponsor on the car, High Flow. It's just ultimately a good day. I'm happy coming out of it, especially after qualifying. It didn't go so well, and happy to come out of it and keep moving forward.
All right. Well, thank you for giving us your thoughts on how your day went. And we look forward to seeing what you can do pretty much next season. It's going to be a blast. Or pardon me, next race. Your season's not over yet. But yeah, we'll see you then, and you have a great night. All right, Andre, let's go see if we can get you to talk to our 2nd place finisher, Jordan Harnish. Now, Jordan Harnish did a great job, and he finished in 2nd. But Andre, you're right there next to him.
Jordan Harnish, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Jordan, you had a great run all night long, constantly in and around the top 3 podium positions, battling it out with some of the fastest cars on the track and definitely holding your own. Then, of course, you had a bit of a late race caution that kind of threw a wrench into things. What was your thought process getting towards the end of this race?
It was definitely a shocker for me. Spent about 3.5, 4 hours this afternoon running constant laps, trying to get to this place. It's one of my absolute worst tracks on the service. So to be able to run second most of the race put a big boost of confidence in me. And I knew going into that last pit stop before the caution, if I could get in before Tyler and Greg, I could get ahead of them enough I could try to run away with it. Unfortunately, the caution came out, didn't really work out so well. But it was good to run. Good to finish second at this place.
Absolutely can't complain about a podium position, and you're carrying a lot of momentum into next week. You guys are going to Auto Club next week. How do you feel about that track? What are you thinking about next week?
I don't really know what to think about Auto Club. I didn't run last year. Schedule conflict came up. I think it's been a couple years since I've been at Auto Club, so looks like it's going to be another 5-hour day next week, getting ready for that one as well.
Well, the practice definitely paid off today. You ended up in the podium, and hopefully you can duplicate that next week. We wish you the best of luck going forward. Before we let you go, is there any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Got to thank Custom Paints and Diecast. Awesome paint schemes, week in and week out. Beef Jerky's, Cheesecake Emporium, Loud Pedal Motorsports. Wow, can't talk now.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Jordan. And again, good luck next week.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was your 2nd place finisher, Jordan Harnish, but why don't we go ahead and talk to the race winner, Greg Evans. Let's go see if I can go ahead and pull him up. I'm trying to see if I can find him in here somewhere, as my mouse is going all sorts of crazy right now.
I believe Evans is in the... Yep, there he is.
Yes, there he is. There's Greg Evans celebrating his back-to-back win. You won 12 races last season in your pursuit of your first ever ASRS Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series championship, and now you've won back-to-back races. Greg, how is the car? How are you feeling? Just let us know what's going on through your head right now.
Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty good car on that. Being back in traffic was made the car really tight and really loose, so we were just trying to battle that condition all night. I think up to that last caution, we probably had a top 2, top 3 car. But once that that last caution came out, we were able to come down and get tires. We nailed the restart. Was able to get out front, and I mean, once you got out front, I kind of understood why Tyler was so fast at the beginning of the race. That clean air, man, it made a huge difference. I think I ran my fastest lap like 2 laps or 3 laps into that run. Man, that clean air was just a huge factor tonight.
Well said. Yeah, we definitely saw air playing a huge role into tonight's race. You ended up getting a caution there with around a handful laps to go. What was going through your head as you realized that the leader was essentially somebody who had 20, 30 lap old tires?
Well, I knew that Scott had already used all his tires up, and I know he had no other choice but to stay out there. I really, restarting in 4th, I didn't really think we had a really good shot at winning the race. But I guess he got a really good start. I was able to kind of get beside Tyler and stay beside Tyler going through 1 and 2, and was able to get clear of him and then clear Scott going into 3. And I think I seen Tyler get real loose coming off turn 4. That's a condition that everybody was battling all night long. I think it just kind of surprised him because he had been out front most of the race, and it just kind of caught him off guard, which happened to a lot of guys tonight. But man, just once we got clear of him, I knew Jordan was pretty quick, but I knew once I got that clean air, I knew what he was battling. I knew if we just put down some good laps, that we'd get the checker there.
Yeah, and once you got the lead, you never looked back. You led 12 laps overall. That's how many wins you had last season. 2 races down this season, you have 2 wins. And we're gonna head on over to Fontana next week. What are your thoughts? What are your chances for having 3 in a row?
I don't think it's very good. I think we won Fontana last year.
I don't think it's very good. We won it last year.
But I mean, there's a lot of different guys out here this year. There was a lot of good drivers out here that it's kind of hard to pass them. So I think the competition's even harder than what it was last year. We've had 2 good races. If we can get a good top 5 out of that race, I'll be very pleased. But like you said, you never know how the cards are going to fall. You never know if you're going to get a late race caution like we got, and you never know what position you're going to be in. So if we've got the chance to go for 3, we're definitely going to take it.
And going into next week's race, now that you've won 2 in a row, are you changing your mindset and like, is trying to get 3 in a row a goal for you right now, or are you just focused on getting the best finish you can?
Right now, we're just focused on good top 5 finishes. We want to win, but like I said tonight, I really thought we were a top 3 car, maybe top 2. But whenever it just kind of played out the way it did, we had a shot. So if we can get the win, we will. We'll just got to wait and see what happens in the last 10, 15 laps there.
Yes, definitely agree with you. The 70 of Scott Eckrich, who restarted on that 25 lap old tires, did a really good job on that restart. I honestly expected Tyler to just go by him on the inside in turns 1 and 2. That didn't happen. And in what you described, and it's exactly what you described, where that good restart that he had essentially led you to getting yourself in prime position to passing him first and then never looking back. But well, we wish you good luck as you're gonna head on over, get yourself prepared for the next race next week in California. But before we do, why don't you have any? Why don't you give us any shout outs?
Yes, sir, man. I got to thank iRacing, iFlag, Maverick Concepts, Carolina SimWorks, Duct Tape and Shear Tape, and Freightliner, Detroit Engines. Man, just a whole lot of guys who make it happen for us. My guys from Steel Horse Racing. I know Thomas had a pretty rough night tonight, but hopefully he can bounce back next week. And I'll absolutely got to thank Hacksaw PC, man. I guess I can probably give them credit for this now because now they got their computer and everything that I won last year. I'm 2 for 2. So definitely, man. If y'all know what Nick did for me and working with me on this computer, man, y'all, it would be surprising. I mean, he is an awesome dude. I can't thank him enough. And also Sam Maxwell for the wheel that I won last year, dude. I pretty much changed my whole sim rig. Took some getting used to for the new wheel. But we're getting there. So I appreciate all those guys and hope to see you guys next week.
All right, thank you so much, Craig. We wish you good luck, and we will see you next week. And you know what? Here's a kazoo for your win. I hit the wrong button. There it is. All right, have a good night, Greg. We'll see you later.
See you guys.
All right, Andre. Well, that's pretty much gonna be it for us for the time being, unless what's the word I'm looking for? Nope, that's it. That's all I have to say. Is I'm trying to find what happened to one of these widgets I was looking for, and I must have deleted it. This is what happens when the producer's trying to work things out because he don't know what he's doing half the time. There we go. I'm trying to get her names up across. Let me hide Greg. Let me hide Greg's. Oh man, just perfect production. There we go. All right. Well, we saw the race results. We saw the possible unofficial standings. We talked to the race. We talked to the drivers, and now the last thing to do is to hope everybody has a good night. It was very difficult for a lot of us, especially down south where it's freezing and cold, and they're just not prepared for that. Peter, we hope you're doing well. We hope it's going much better than yesterday. Peter's pretty much going to be gone all week, considering that he is frozen with his wife. So the next time we'll see Peter will be in about 1,000 years. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And well, actually, Andre, why don't you have anything you want to say before we go?
I mean, I got pretty much everything out there.
All right, let's move on.
I want to thank I want to thank Jim for having me on, and of course you, Carlos. Hopefully, I did you guys proud. Hopefully, the broadcast was decent enough. I had a lot of fun watching the race. These guys put on a crazy good show. A lot of talent in this field, and man, I just love being here. So again, thanks to everybody, and thanks to the viewers at home.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get you on board for next week, but that'll be a topic outside of this video. So thank you so much, everybody. We hope you have a fantastic time, and we will see you next time.